male sexual desire. Male sexual desire can be affected by various factors, both positive and negative. Science confirms this fact. Lust means to want something fiercely and longingly. Lust is always a striving for something that one does not have at that moment. It is a human tendency that drives us to search for that which is absent and without which we cannot be satisfied. The same happens with the sexual desire, also the male sexual desire. The sexual desire prompts man to seek a sexual encounter for various reasons, for example reproductive, social, personal and so on. It arises on the basis of a perceived lack on a relational level. This triggers a series of behavior patterns aimed at bringing the individual closer to the long-awaited goal, namely sex. Male sexual desire. Sexual desire is a psychological state that seeks to initiate and sustain human sexual behavior. It can be triggered by internal or external stimuli. Basically, it is an impulse that motivates individuals, in this case men, to an intimate encounter with another person in reality, to share intimacy, maintain a relationship, enjoy themselves, experience, enjoy, etc. Male sexual desire arises in puberty. At this time, it is often associated with involuntary discharges during sleep. This desire can be maintained until about the age of 50. After that, it starts to wane, in some cases accompanied by a drop in libido as well. Factors associated with male sexual desire. The factors associated with this type of desire are biological, psychological, sexual, relational and cultural. Nimd et al. 2020. Biological factors. Androgens, such as testosterone, are essential for sexual behavior to occur in men. In fact, research on the subject has shown that a minimum level of androgens is necessary to experience sexual desire. It is also known that testosterone increases the desire for sex without obligations and with several sexual partners. Satisfying these desires usually reduces blood testosterone levels after intercourse, but not levels of perceived desire. Putz et al. 2015. Sex hormones are released into the blood by the glands. They travel to the brain where they sensitize certain regions of the cerebral cortex. This makes the person more susceptible to sexual stimuli and thoughts. Psychological factors. While it is true that certain moods can promote or inhibit sexual desire, studies on the subject provide conflicting results. Some studies show that low levels of sexual desire are associated with a lack of positive affect related to sexuality than with the presence of more negative emotions. Nimd et al. 2018. Nimd et al. 2019. Depression, anxiety have also been shown to be associated with low levels of sexual desire. Bancroft et al. 2003. Conducted a study with 919 men. They found that 9% of those with elevated levels of depression reported an increase in sexual interest, while 42% reported a decrease. Likewise, it was found that among men with significant anxiety, 21% reported an increase in sexual desire, and 28% a decrease. Sexual factors. Positive and negative past sexual experiences have a direct influence on sexual interest and behavior. In fact, sexual problems can have a negative impact on sexual interest and sexual function in general. For example, premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction has been reported as the most prevalent comorbidities among men with low levels of sexual desire. Carville Hera 2014. Regarding the sexual response, the level of desire usually increases during any sexual experience, such as masturbation, intercourse, until orgasm. Furthermore, it appears to predict the quality and satisfaction of the orgasmic phase. Patterson et al. 2014. Relational factors. Murray et al. 2017. conducted a study regarding men's experience in long-term relationships. They concluded that regardless of age or length of relationship, factors such as feeling wanted, exciting and unexpected sexual encounters, and intimate communication were factors that induced sexual desire. On the other hand, rejection, physical and negative ailments, health characteristics and lack of emotional connection with the partner were the main inhibiting factors. Cultural factors influence men's sexual desire. Peer pressure and expectations of the male gender role have been identified as risk factors for the level of male sexual desire. Likewise, it has been established that stigmatization of reduced male libido can negatively affect sexual satisfaction. McCarthy's 2009. Many cultural stereotypes or myths about male sexual desire can have an effect on it. For example, the stereotypical notion that men think about sex all day can make men feel pressured to engage in such behavior. This may not be a problem as long as they are not undervalued if they do not meet such a standard. In conclusion, it can be said that male sexual desire is affected by various variables. This desire motivates men to seek sexual intimacy, but not necessarily emotional intimacy. Moreover, for many of them, sexual desire dissatisfaction is a way of creating intimacy and not a consequence of it. Factors that limit sexual desire: physical and emotional exhaustion, personal problems, stress, uncertainty and arguments are just some of the factors that can affect sexual desire. Let's take a closer look at them. Your sexual desire or libido can be affected by many factors. Some of them you probably don't even know, or at least you don't attach enough importance to them. The cause of decreased libido can be organic, psychological, emotional or social. Furthermore, there is little doubt that a decrease or lack of sexual desire is a problem. It can even be a sign of sexual dysfunction, which will generate great anxiety. Let's start by defining sexual desire. Although it is a difficult concept to define in sexology, it refers to sexual appetite. It is the energy or tendency of the will for you to achieve and experience pleasure. This is a product of a complex interaction between cognitive and physiological processes, and neurophysiological and biochemical mechanisms. Libido is strongly linked to the experience of pleasure. Therefore, an experience that creates discomfort or aversion will inhibit sexual desire. The experienced joy in a situation creates an emotional imprint that gives rise to desire. It is only by remembering it that it is possible to activate it. This is what happens with sexual fantasies and erotic objects that act as triggers for sexual desire. Do you have a big enough sexual desire? Many people tend to compare their sexual desire with other people or their partners. This is an error. It is individual and everyone experiences it differently. This is due to various interacting causes and factors. Sexual desire becomes a problem when the person feels uncomfortable with it, regardless of whether it is greater or less than the partner's desire. One must take into account that sexual desire is a secondary need, a need in connection with quality of life. In other words, it is not vital for survival. If there are therefore no primary needs that are not met, as for example wood, it will be down prioritized, and consequently fall. Sexual loosely feed on excess energy. If this energy is absent or is solely focused on other types of activities, libido will therefore decrease. Hypoactive sexual desire. In fact, the pace of our current life is a natural enemy of libido due to reasons such as stress and accumulated fatigue. Fatigue is the enemy of libido. Fatigue, both physical and mental, is a relevant factor in life today. It affects your decisions, behavior, motivation, sensations and ability to experience pleasure. According to a study of more than 5,000 men published in the Journal of Medicine, fatigue and stress are one of the main causes of low libido. Giving the factor of fatigue in sexual relationships the importance it deserves helps us to be more understanding. This means that we do not assume the wrong ideas that lead to misunderstandings, problems in relationships. We cannot ignore that sexual relations are a fundamental aspect of relationships. If there is dissatisfaction in the sexual area, it can lead to deterioration of the relationship itself. Problems found in a few relationships such as anger, conflict, lack of communication, insecurity and so on are direct causes of low libido. This means that sexual encounters become unsatisfactory. Some couples, however, after half-experienced anger or intense arguments, feel a tremendous impulse to have sexual encounters. This happens because they have eroticized the conflict and created a link between enjoyment and discussion. Nevertheless, anger, discomfort in the partner generally cause inhibition of sexual desire, hypoactive sexual desire. Other related factors related to sexual desire. Among the biological factors that are related to a decrease in libido are drugs. For example, antidepressant pills and all those that decrease dopamine. Also, the kind of medicine that increases serotonin. Among the associated psychological factors, the fear of lust has a major influence. After going through a bad experience, for example, it may be possible to associate desire with danger. Therefore, the defense is to inhibit it. Decreased libido also affects depression, anxiety and problems with self-esteem. Emotions like fear, anger, shame and so on also have an inhibiting effect on libido. Among the social factors, it is worth highlighting effective reference models, oppressive upbringing, lack of sexual information and the first sexual encounters, and the expectations that are formed. All the factors mentioned here are part of deeper and more complex problems. In fact, those who experience a lack of desire with discomfort, anxiety and a deterioration in their quality of life may suffer from sexual dysfunction. In conclusion, those who experience sexual desire with discomfort should go to a sexologist. Depending on the most dominant factors, the sexologist can either deal with the problems himself or refer the person to a doctor or a specialist psychologist.